Hello everybody, Tony again from Fisher Buggies, Tampa, Florida. Today we're going to show you how we adjust valves. Now it doesn't matter what size motor you have, what size cam it is, what kind of pulley you have. The valve adjustment sequence is the same no matter what size motor it is. Type 1, Type 2, Type 4, and we're going to walk you through that today. First things first, we got just a few simple tools we're going to use. There's an 1 1/8 wrench for the bottom pulley nut. 13mm box-in wrench or open-in. I like the box-in so you don't round off the adjusting nuts. Flat blade screwdriver. And we set our valves intake and exhaust cold 6 thousandths. That's 0.006. We set them both at 6. So we got my feeler gauge. Those are the tools we're going to need for what we're going to do today. Okay, first things first, we're going to pop the valve cover off the number 1, 2 side cylinders. That's on the passenger side of the car. Okay, the next step, we're going to pop our distributor cap off. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll the motor around until we get the rotor button pointing at number 1 spark plug wire. And on our valves, we're going to have number 1 intake and exhaust closed. Number 2 exhaust would be rocking. That's when we can mark our pulley. We'll know we're at top dead center number 1. We can mark our pulley for TDC, which is going to be the starting of our sequence. And we'll mark it on the opposite side, 180 off, which is BDC, bottom dead center. That's the second part of our sequence. Okay, just to verify we're at number 1 top dead center. We're going to check out our valve train here. We're watching the number 2 exhaust valve. This should be rocking as I move the pulley just ever slightly. Because that's rocking and we're still getting no response out of number 1. You can hear it. We know we're at number 1 top dead center and it's time to adjust number 1 cylinder. Okay, now we're at number 1 cylinder. I've got my feeler gauge, which is the 0.006. Like I said before, Fisher Buggies, we set ours at 6 thousandths, both intake and exhaust, cold. I know stock is supposed to be 4 and 6 thousandths, but this is the way we've always done it. Florida, it gets hot. You don't want it to be too close. It's better to be loose than too tight. Rule of thumb. Better have a loose valve than a tight valve. So I've got my wrench, flat blade screwdriver, my 13mm box-in wrench hanging on the screwdriver. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push on the bottom of the rockers to get as much clearance as I can at the adjuster. I'm going to use my feeler gauge and I'm going to check them, see if they're loose or tight. My exhaust is perfect, my intake's a little tight. So I'm going to loosen up the intake adjusting nut and screw. Back it off just a little bit so I can get my feeler gauge in there. Push down on the rocker. Now the point is you don't want to squeeze it in there because then it's going to be too tight. You should just feel it slip in and out. There's a little bit of tension on it. Once you get it to where it feels comfy, you know, hold the screwdriver still. That's the point of having the wrench on it. And then tighten down. It's like a lock nut. You're just going to lock it down in place so you can't move. Double check. Perfect. She's in there. That's number 1 cylinder. Now we're going to rotate the motor around 180 backwards, which is counterclockwise, to get to number 2 cylinder. That's what starts our sequence. Now we're going to take our 1 1/18 wrench and we're going to roll it backwards, which is counterclockwise, to our bottom dead center mark. And now we're in position to adjust number 2 cylinder. But I'm going to check them first. Might not need to be adjusted. I'm going to check them. Push down on my rocker, get all my clearance. When I'm pushing down on the rocker, what I'm doing is I'm pushing, make sure the push rod's all the way in the lifter, which is seated against the rocker, so I get the maximum clearance it's going to have. See, my intake's good. And my exhaust is good. So I'll need to adjust this one. So we're in good shape as far as this side goes. Now we're going to get back to our pulley. we're going to continue around 180 backwards, counterclockwise, back to top dead center. Once we get to here, now we're in position to adjust number 3, which is on the driver's side of the motor closest to the firewall. It'd be the same sequence, the same procedure we've done on the 1 and 2 side. Pop the valve cover, check it first with 6/1000 feeler gauge. If it's tight, adjust it. If it's loose, adjust it. When we're done doing any adjustments we need to do there, we take the pulley one more time, 180 counterclockwise, back to BDC, bottom dead center, and now run number 4. Once you're done with number 4 cylinder adjustments, you're done as far as that's concerned. Then we'll get to our valve covers and gaskets. I'm not going to change these because they're brand new. But you'd want to scrape your valve cover to be nice and clean, as new looking as you can, because any imperfection in there is going to push the seal away from the valve cover and it's going to drip on you. We don't use glue, but we use Permatex number 2, non-hardening. We put on both sides of the gasket. So you clean the valve cover, lip nice and clean, clean the head off nice and clean. Use a scraper, don't gouge in the head. Just use a big flat blade like a scraper, butter knife or something, just to get the material off. Set your Permatex number 2 on both sides of this gasket, against the valve cover and against the head. Then pop it back on there, make sure it's square, and you're done. Okay, just to recap here, what we just did works on performance motors, stock motors, like I said, the Type 4s, the pancake motors, the bus motors. The procedure's the same, however the valve lash, the setting is different. But even if you have a hot rod motor or a stock motor, what we just did will work. I guess the biggest key thing when starting is make sure you're on top dead center number 1. If not, you can see why it makes it so important. You'd be off on every cylinder when you're adjusting the valves, and the motor's going to sound like a machine gun. Other than that, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. Check us out on our website. We've got a lot of new parts adding every day. Email us, drop us a line. Just let us know how we're doing. Appreciate it. Thank you.